The moment my father smirked and said my name wouldn't be in the will, the entire room went silent, and that's when I smiled. Like, comment, and subscribe Hannah Stories for more stories. Everyone in that stuffy office thought that smile meant defeat. They were so wrong. My name is Sarah Walker, and the day of my father's will reading felt less like a family gathering and more like the final scene of a courtroom drama. The lawyer's office smelled like old paper and bitter coffee, a perfect setting for what was about to unfold. My stepmother sat beside my dad, her hand gripping his arm like she already owned everything in the room, including him. My half-brother leaned back in his chair, looking bored, confident, probably already spending his inheritance in his head. I just stood by the window, trying to look calm, while a lifetime of memories crashed into me. So many years of being treated like this spare child, the afterthought. Years of being told I was independent, which was just their polite way of saying, don't ask us for anything. And I didn't. I built my own life from the ground up, my own career, my own safety net. I didn't need them. But still, hearing my father declare, I've decided Sarah doesn't need anything from me, hit harder than I expected. The lawyer cleared his throat, looking at his shoes, clearly uncomfortable. My dad didn't care. He leaned forward, puffing his chest out, and said it himself, loud and proud for everyone to hear. She's cut out. Everything goes to my wife and my son. And that's when I smiled. A small, simple smile. My stepmother noticed it first, her eyebrows knitted together in confusion. My half-brother let out a little scoff. My dad frowned, his power play not getting the reaction he wanted. "What's so funny?" he demanded, his voice sharp. I didn't answer him. I just gave a slight nod to the lawyer. The lawyer froze for a second, then his shoulders seemed to settle. "Mr. Walker," he said slowly, his voice suddenly very formal, "before we continue with this document, there is some additional documentation we need to address." My dad just waved his hand dismissively. "There's nothing else. I was very clear with my instructions." The lawyer swallowed hard. "Actually, sir, this other document was filed 5 years ago and has been updated twice since. It legally supersedes the current will you've just outlined." The entire atmosphere in the room shifted. Chairs creaked. My stepmother's grip on my father's arm tightened like a vice. "What document?" she snapped, her voice high-pitched. The lawyer turned to face me directly. "Miss Sarah Walker, do you want me to proceed?" I finally broke my silence. "Please." My father's face went pale. He stared at me, the confidence draining from his eyes. The lawyer began to explain. Years ago, my grandfather, my dad's, his own father, had placed a significant portion of the family assets into an irrevocable trust, a trust my father couldn't touch, couldn't change, and couldn't override with any new will. And the sole beneficiary of that trust? Me. You could have heard a pin drop before the gasps filled the room. My half-brother shot up from his chair. "That's impossible. That can't be legal." "It's not only possible, it is perfectly legal," the lawyer said calmly, holding up a file. "The trust activates fully upon Mr. Walker's passing. It includes properties, major investments, company shares, all legally protected and designated for Miss Walker." My father's mouth opened, then closed. He looked at me as if he was seeing a complete stranger. "You knew?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. I just nodded. I always knew. What I didn't say out loud was why my grandfather did it. I didn't tell them about how he saw the way I was constantly pushed aside. I didn't share the memory of him telling me late one night, "They'll always underestimate you, Sarah. Let them." He made sure I would never have to beg for respect from people who refused to give it freely. My stepmother started arguing, her voice getting louder, throwing around words like unfair and family as if they were weapons. But the lawyer just calmly shut it down with facts, signatures, and legal statutes. The law doesn't care about favoritism. As the meeting finally ended, my father wouldn't even look at me. The one thing he valued most, power, had just slipped right through his fingers. Not because I fought him, not because I shouted or made a scene, but because I planned, I waited, and I trusted the truth to do its work. I walked out of that office feeling lighter than I had in my entire life. I didn't win a lottery that day. I won my freedom. And the best part? I never even had to raise my voice. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever felt underestimated, remember that the quietest person in the room is often the most powerful. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.